more now and how this could shape the ongoing conflict. Let's bring in Associate Professor Matthew Sussex. He's, of course, a researcher and fellow at the AMU. Matthew, thanks very much for your time. A crazy 24, 48 hours, this aborted rebellion. What is the impact on Putin's authority, first and foremost?
Well, look, Kieran, I think that Putin emerges from this really quite badly damaged and weakened. He's got a number of real questions around his leadership that have come up from this kind of crazy, day and a half in Russian politics. One of them is, how is he going to walk back, going on national TV, warning of civil war, and saying that Yevgeny Prigozhin, his former friend, needed to be liquidated, and then, fronting up a few hours later and saying everything's fine? How's he going to do that? How is he also going to, damp down the fact that Prigozhin is someone who has been hailed by the Russian media and by Putin as a hero? And he's come out and said not only that the war in Ukraine was based on a lie, but that Russia needs a new president. And finally, you've got Prigozhin, someone who's deliberately now stood up to Putin using military force, who gets away scot-free. And previously, under Putin, if anyone announced any kind of dissent whatsoever, they would find themselves very quickly in jail or having an accident.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? And that accident prospect, I want to ask you about that in a moment, but before we do that, is there any chance Prigozhin, the former hot dog seller, then restaurateur, close confidant of Putin, he was very close to him, is there any chance that this is all one elaborate ruse?
Look, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, but I think sometimes when we look at Russian politics, we look too closely for sort of deep Machiavellian plots, when often the case it's just something happens and then it snowballs. Prigozhin has been telegraphing for a long time that he's disappointed with the Russian defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, who hasn't been heard from since, and the chief of the general staff, Valery Gerasimov. He also hasn't been heard of since. And he has said that if something isn't done about the orders that are being given that are sending Wagner fighters to their deaths, then he would do something about it. So this is something I think that has been visible for a while, which raises another question, that if the Russian security and intelligence services are any good, why didn't they pick up on this, and why did they do nothing when, in fact, the United States, as we know, heard about this in early to mid-June and was already making contingency plans?
If you were Wagner chief Prigozhin, and just on that prospect of an accident, you wouldn't be too relaxed, would you, with the deal that's been done? You might be taking a few precautions just to ensure that Mr. Putin's good to his word.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what precautions he could take, given that he's off to exile in Belarus. No, I wouldn't feel very comfortable about my personal safety, either en route or when I got there. But the thing about Prigozhin is that he does have form in terms of knowing an awful lot about the goings-on of the Russian elite and about Vladimir Putin himself. We should remember that he was the head of the Internet Research Agency, the Russian troll factory that, of course, meddled in US politics and politics around Europe and elsewhere. So he is very good at information operations, and he certainly does have, you would think, a fair bit of information about the inner circle around Putin, not to mention the president himself.